going on, everyone? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports NFL preview show, special edition this week. We're going to be talking the Thanksgiving Day slate, one of the more popular DFS slates all year round. It's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, the games aren't all that appealing. I'm hoping at some point the NFL pulls the plug on the Lions Thanksgiving home game because, man, that kind of puts a damper in the slate. But a lot of things to talk about. There's a lot of uncertainty in the slate. We're going to kind of follow the same pattern that we typically do on the show. We'll talk the injuries, we'll talk the games, we'll go through and see anything that might stand out in terms of pricing on the slate. But like I said, there's still a lot up in the air. We'll do our best to kind of dive through and see what we can find. Joined by my two boys, Mangone and Title. I'll toss it to you first. How are things going for you?
Yeah, it's going well. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever see a change in the NFL with the Lions. I feel like it's just the Lions, Cowboys, just a tradition that will never stop. I wish my Packers were playing. I always like when the Packers and the Lions square off. Now we get the Bears. Looks like Justin Fields might not play. Like you said, a lot of injury news and stuff, but always monster prize pools. They're all spread out, so you get football all day. One of my favorite days of the year for NFL DFS, so I'm excited.
Yep, no doubt about that. It's fun, and yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a little bit scarred from a kid when I was growing up, and so excited to watch the Lions on Thanksgiving, and they just got their ass kicked every year. And some things never change, but they have a chance this week. Only 3-point underdogs to the Bears. Mangone, how are things going for you out there?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking before the show about like Thanksgiving food and our thoughts, and that's probably one reason you definitely hate Thanksgiving food. Hoop is like it just tastes like an L because you were a Lions fan, and every single day, you put some turkey. Whenever turkey's in your mouth, you just know a Lions loss is coming, basically. But that's every Sunday. It is rough, but traditions are gonna stay, right? You're gonna have the Lions and the Cowboys every single year. The good news is though, Hoop, they added that Sunday night game that at least like entice us, but the thing is they made it like good for Big T. Like everything, Big T runs great. He gets to watch his boy Taysom Hill on Sunday Night Football. I mean, no one wants to watch the Saints right now.
What a crazy contract. I mean, how nuts is that for a guy that is playing behind, I guess, Trevor Siemian? Like why give him that contract? That is so crazy.
Yeah,
someone on Twitter said money laundering, and that made me laugh.
I mean, I like the idea of having that kind of guy on your team. Right? Like Taysom definitely helps you, but for that contract, it's ridiculous. But yeah, it's not the best Thanksgiving slate. We'll obviously break it down. We'll talk about it. There's news to come. Also, another interesting wrinkle to the slate. I don't know if you guys saw this, but like Matt Nagy is supposed to be fired after Thanksgiving, and it's like, what are we doing here? Just like. I don't know. Maybe they're just like, hey, like, Matt, it's not working out. We'll give you one last chance. Then you can ride off into the sunset on a win. But like, how could you do that? Like the fans are going to be outraged if they get a win and then they fire their coach. It's just going to be weird.
Literally makes no sense.
They were chanting at the Bulls game yesterday when they were getting smacked, fire Matt Nagy or something. So that they all want it.
And there's just a lot. There's a lot of really bad. It is crazy. I mean, you just start watching these games. There's just a lot of really bad coaches in the NFL, like Nagy. Pete Carroll, I think, is one of the worst. I mean, Pete Carroll, the time has passed him. Like clearly, the time is way past him, and he continued. Mike McCarthy's a terrible coach, and the list goes on of these coaches that just make piss poor decisions.
Real quick, Pete Carroll, I agree with. The thing I'm going to say about McCarthy, at least he's trying. Hold on, Title. We at least have to applaud guys who actually try to get better and like learn analytics and improve. Like, did you guys actually see? And it's probably more Kellen Moore, which is nice. And I think Kellen Moore is really, really sharp. Did you guys see that play that they ran with Tony Pollard? It was like the fake snap thing where like he like tried to flip the ball. That was really good. But the one thing I want to say is at least like the one thing I stick out with Mike McCarthy, he was an absolute donkey, still is not the greatest, but at least he's trying to get better. Unlike some of these guys like Pete Carroll, who's just a culture guy, tries to make things better and needs to have all these like sharp guys around him. He's an absolute donkey too. But that's my take on McCarthy. I just want guys who try to get better as a coach.
Pay me $30 million a year just to try and get better each year and coach one of the best teams. I mean, he's coaching America's team, one of the worst coaches, all the talent in the world.
To give real quick,
disaster.
20 in the past 20 years, right? This is one of the better Cowboys teams we've seen. To just give credit to that. This team is not as bad as everyone thinks. I remember Big T, he changed his tune quick after Hard Knocks. He was like, this team's gonna be terrible. I think we all watched them the first couple of weeks and we were like, wow, this team's a lot better than we realized. And I do think it's because of Kellen Moore. I think Kellen Moore is a really sharp offensive mind. I think he's one of the main reasons why.
Imagine what they could be with Imagine what they could be without McCarthy. Like that, he's holding them back from Super Bowl aspirations. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, here's the other thing. Who else would you get? Because every coach sucks.
Anybody.
There's only like 5 good ones.
You gotta get these like younger. I mean, the dude for the you gotta love what the Chargers guys do, and like you gotta. Yes. I mean, you gotta find. I don't know where I don't know where he came from, but like you need coaches like that. I don't know where you find them.
I heard one good argument someone made to me once, and that like kind of like made me think. If you get a new coach, like my buddy's a big Giants fan, and when they hired Joe Judge, he was like, I don't like this guy. So the one thing about Joe Judge, you don't know anything about him. And that's probably better than being like, oh, yes, we got Pete Carroll or Matt Nagy. Yeah. We know what they are. So if you ever do get a new coach, that could be a good sign of like, hey, like there's at least a ceiling here. We don't know that this guy sucks.
That's a good point. I mean, these retreads that just keep getting hired over and over, it doesn't make sense. But the Nagy thing is super weird. Like if you're going to fire the guy. Well, I mean, is it because it's a short week?
That's the only thing I can think of.
Right. That has to be it. It's a short week and they don't want to, disrupt the process going into Thursday, but like, that's not how the world works. Hey, we want you to do this job and then we're going to fire you regardless of the results right after.
It sounds like it was leaked up top too. Like the Bears didn't want it to be like known. So they had the plan, but the only thing, you don't want to throw a coach short week on the road too. That's the only thing. And they give the coach a long weekend to prepare, but it's a really weird situation.
Coaches need to do is learn from other ones. Like John Harbaugh has a guy, like he's got the Harvard like kid or whoever it is to like tell him at certain times like what decisions to make. Like there are opportunities we can rip Mike McCarthy here real quick where he'll just be sitting there like Andy Reid, like dumbfounded at the end of the game, not able to make a decision. Why don't you have a guy that's just his only job is to like be in your ear and tell you those things? Why not take that decision making out of your hands, but it's actually still technically in your hands and have someone guiding you through it while you're guiding through an entire football game? There's so much you have to manage. Just be the guy at the top managing and have a lot of different people helping you out. And be the guy that pushes the decision. It seems so simple and just follow what Harbaugh is doing because he's super sharp.
The crazy part about all that is it's like if you watch the game, it's like very obvious what the right calls are. Like if you're 4th and 1 and you're in your opponent's territory, like you go for it every time. Like it should never be a punt. Like those are the things, like the going for 2 in those situations that these donkeys and the commentators can't figure out. Like they cannot figure it out, but it's the right move every time. Like if you just do stuff like that, you're good. Pass heavy attacks, like things like that. It's just so obvious what the winning formula is in the NFL, and these ancient moronic coaches like cannot figure it out. So I don't know, whatever. That's our little tangent, I guess, on the bad coaching. But we did get some news. Good timing that Andy Dalton will be starting, and that kind of is going to lead us into the conversation here, position by position. We're going to talk about some of the injuries as well that we're waiting on, because it is 2 days away from Thanksgiving. There's quite a bit of information that's still out there that we're going to need. Before we hop into that, though, I want to remind you guys, you can join the movement here at Run Pure Sports. We have that promo code RPS Heater 25. If you want to try it out using that promo code, 25% off your first monthly subscription at Run Pure Sports. Includes all the sports, every single sport that we offer this Thanksgiving Day slate, the NFL main slate, NBA, had a huge NBA win. I think it was last night, $100,000 win from a member. We got MMA titled as the playbooks, the core plays for that in Discord all the way through leading up to the fights, during the fights, NASCAR, tennis, every sport, NHL, every sport DraftKings offers. We have someone covering it, and it's included under the one price tag. Use that promo code RPS Heater 25. That'll get you 25% off your first payment. I kind of talked about the guy last night, $100,000 win in NBA, and that backs up a $132,000 win in NFL. Max Hankins for $132K. Was that last night?
That was the NBA one yesterday.
Okay, that was that. Yep. Yeah, okay, that was the NBA one. 132,000 Max Hankins for. So congratulations to him. If you want to be part of this segment, members never win, just hit us up on Twitter, send us a message, tag us, let us know that you won, and we'll shout you out here on the show. All right, let's get into it and talk about some of these injury situations that are out there going into this week. We just got some news, obviously. Fields, I'm assuming they said he won't start. Is he out, or are they going to be using him maybe at the goal line, or is he just out?
If they say
start, what is that? That's like
I don't know what that means. Like
Yeah.
in case
where did you
Dalton
see
gets
this
hurt.
story? Like who tweeted it? Was it Schefter?
Yeah, I just saw a notification come through, so I'm not.
When you guys are looking, I'm assuming that means like in case Dalton gets hurt, I guess they might not have another backup they trust on the roster. That because
Like
what was it? His ribs? It was his ribs, right?
Ribs,
he
yeah,
left with?
ribs.
So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, give him a little time off if they absolutely need him, and Dalton gets hurt. Maybe he's there for that, but I assume that it's going to be fully Dalton with that news.
Yeah, it's my assumption as well. The other quarterback injury news would be Jared Goff. Still questionable. He was listed as a limited, they didn't practice yesterday, but a limited participant. Any lean, Mangone, one way or another, whether or not he plays?
On who? Who is it again?
Jared Goff.
Oh, Goff. Jeez. Jared Goof.
Yeah.
I assume he was probably close. He's probably a little closer, obviously, than he was last week. You would assume. I mean, the Lions have played. Remember, they did David Blau. That was that a year or two ago? So they're okay. Yeah. I mean, I know this is their Super Bowl, but they're okay trotting out there just an absolute lame quarterback. Obviously, with it being a Thanksgiving game, I think a lot of these guys try to play. So I wouldn't be shocked if Goff tries to play, especially in a game that, against the Bears, Thanksgiving Day, can get the win. I think it's something he would
Of all the injury news, it's probably the least important. I mean, you're most likely not playing Goff. You're probably not playing Tim Boyle if it's him. And then the pass catchers for the Lions are an absolute disaster. And then the running back situation, whoever starts at quarterback really doesn't matter, I don't think, for Swift or Jamal Williams, who has a cheap price tag. Let's go to running back. And obviously, the big news that we'll be waiting on is Zeke and whether or not he plays. It sounds like he's going to play, though. Title, talk to me about this situation a little bit.
Yeah, it says that he's going to try and play, or he intends to play. But I mean, he didn't look great. 8,400. It's definitely a question. I like Tony Pollard in tournaments. I know we were talking pre-show, but CeeDee Lamb we're going to get to. He had a concussion. Don't know about his status, but I would assume that he doesn't play. I mean, that's a short turnaround for a concussion. Banged his head pretty hard. Amari Cooper's already ruled out for this game. So even if Zeke plays, Tony Pollard at 5,900, they're going to run a lot of two running back sets. He's so explosive, get the ball in his hand, and he's going to be lower owned. And because there's Dave Montgomery, there's Swift, Jacobs, Zeke, Ingram. So yeah, I mean, I love Tony Pollard. As far as Zeke, yeah, I mean, if he plays, I'm definitely going to be underweight and go more the Pollard approach. It looked like a pretty bad injury. I was surprised to see him get up and even come back.
I think he broke his leg. I mean, seriously, when that happened, I was like, oh, damn, I think he just broke his leg, but was able to come back in the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I don't know. I like Pollard a lot, though. Obviously, in cash games, you wouldn't play Pollard if Zeke's in, but tournaments, regardless, I really like Pollard.
Yeah, it's big news because Cowboys' highest projected scoring team on the slate. They're 7.5-point favorites at home. It's a good spot for Zeke if he plays. If Zeke is out, Tony Pollard is just like a lock. I mean, Tony Pollard's a better running back than Zeke. I mean, he's just more skilled. Their offense, last year, it was the beginning of last year whenever Zeke was out last. I mean, their offense just so much better with Pollard back there, but they committed all this money to Zeke, so they'll continue to trot him out. The other big news at the running back position will be the Saints. Kamara is listed as questionable. Ingram is also listed as questionable. Mangone, any lean on this situation here?
Yeah, I think the nice thing is, I think with it being the Thanksgiving Day games, I think you'll have the news early enough. I don't think you'll be waiting until the minutes before the game to actually truly know some of these guys' status. And if you are, that clearly probably shows that they're really, really banged up. Here's my question to you guys, because obviously cash games, it's kind of difficult these weeks. There's a lot of plug and play guys. I do think people are just going to plug and play Zeke, and it makes sense to play him, but do you guys have any concerns with playing Zeke in cash games? And do you think is it Galaxy brain to go to Tony Pollard instead? If it helps you get a 2v2 where it gets you an upgraded receiver or something, because I really do think Zeke is pretty banged up and it is kind of concerning. I don't know. I guess this is something we have to hear more about the reports and how he's really feeling, but it is something I'm thinking about because it is a short turnaround and he looked really, really rough last week.
It's only Tuesday, but I don't view him as a lock on either side, to be honest. The price is there. At quarterback, you guys know who I'm going to go at Josh Allen. I don't care if I played my boyfriend 5% on FanDuel last week and 8% on DK. Like, of course, I'm going to play him on this 3-game slate.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, DeAndre Swift's a very elite play. There's still Dave Montgomery, Mark Ingram, or Kamara based on that. Like, there's other like options. And I'm always I like 4 receivers or even 2 tight ends. Like, we'll get to tight end. Dalton Schultz is elite play. Waller, like, I don't think Zeke's close to a lock personally.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we're going to get the news. We're going to, the Cowboys are usually pretty good with the injury stuff. And I think he's going to play. We'll see how dinged up he is. Tough to tell. But, a lot of what I do with Zeke and Pollard is dependent on this wide receiver position. Just going to kind of talk through the injuries and questionable tags here. Obviously, no Amari Cooper already with the COVID. CeeDee Lamb left that game with a concussion. Short turnaround. It's going to be hard, I think, for him to return and play this week. I know the NFL has pretty strict protocols in terms of the concussion stuff. A lot of what happens on this slate is dependent. This is the biggest news, I think. CeeDee Lamb, whether or not he plays. Mangone, any lean on CeeDee Lamb and his availability this week.
Yeah, it's obviously if he gets out of concussion protocol, then he's fine. And also, like, don't be concerned about like that Q tag if he does play. It's not like it's a bad hand like AJ Brown, or it's his hammy, and he can re-pull it. Like, it's just a concussion. So you just got to get through the protocol. If he gets through, then it's fine. If he doesn't get through, I mean, Michael Gallup feels like a stone lock, and then you have like Wilson and Noah Brown, like. They're so like, don't feel like you just have to eat whatever the chalk option is there, right? There is so unknown between those two. It's really just whoever catches the deep ball. So I think in tournaments, you just kind of want the lower owned guy. I do think that I didn't see, I saw Cedric Wilson went in there and it looked like he did a little bit better, but early on, Noah Brown looked like he was kind of getting a little more work, and then maybe it like switched over because maybe
problem is he just can't catch a football that's thrown at him. I mean, he had a lot of those. I mean, it was a bad game for the Cowboys, but man, like these wide receivers were not doing any favors for Dak. I mean, balls just right off the chest, they're just dropping.
Yeah, no, it's definitely worth mentioning because I saw Noah Brown like getting more work. It felt like early on, and I was like, okay, like maybe it's his. And then I think when Lamb got hurt, Wilson just stepped up and was playing better. So that's something to watch for. I also don't know if Malik Turner could pop up out of nowhere. Like in tournaments, feel free to like embrace some of these other options. And also Dalton Schultz, like 5.3K. If there is no CeeDee Lamb, I mean, Dalton Schultz role might be better than Darren Waller's at 5.3K. Like it's just.
I like that Turner call. I mean, they've been giving him looks in the red zone, deep looks and looks in the red zone, and against the Raiders, it's definitely big time upside matchup. So that Turner call is very solid.
Yeah, I mean, against Denver, he showed that he caught 2 touchdowns there, right? And yes, it was blowout, but that's like, man, like that's when like you go out there and you kind of prove to the you prove to the coaches you're playing a little bit better, and on a quick week turnaround when guys are a little sore, and maybe they do go to him. Maybe he's got the fresher legs. The fresh legs narrative could be in play for tournaments. He has 3K. You are going to be looking at a lot of those 3K guys. Hunter Renfrow at 5.6 definitely in play. I think Edwards at 3.9. There's like a lot of guys you can mix and match at receiver this week and like take some shots on. But you can make the argument that, listen, while everyone else is trying to take shots on all these cheap receivers, you could just slam Stephon Diggs into your lineup and call it a day and just take the raw points that you can get. But he is going to have to deal with Marcus Lattimore. I don't know how much you guys value that or think it's an issue, because if it is going to be a problem, we know Josh Allen has tons of other targets to throw to. He has Dawson Knox. He has Emmanuel Sanders. Cole Beasley. He has a lot of different options that he can go to. So it is a thin wide receiver slate for sure, which again might make us want to go and pay up for some of these running backs and even pay up for a quarterback like Josh Allen, like Title was saying.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what you do at wide receiver is it's really contingent on the CeeDee Lamb, and honestly, this slate. I mean, the CeeDee Lamb thing is absolutely huge. If he's in, stud, I think close to like lock type play. If he's out, going to have to look to some other Cowboys. In terms of the injury news at tight end, there's not much. So let's go back to quarterback and look at the pricing on each site and kind of see what stands out to us. I don't know. I mean, Mango, do we even need to include title in this portion of the conversation where we're looking at the specifics, the pricing specifics on each site, or should we just mute them and pick him up at the running back.
I'll mute myself. It's you.
Mute yourself, Title, because you probably won't like what I'm going to suggest. But I think you need to consider Derek Carr at 5'9". I haven't built too many lineups out.
If you play Derek Carr, you know where my head-to-heads are found. I'll just say that, Mango.
All right, Title. Well, mute yourself. You said you were going to mute yourself, and if that's an invitation, if I like my team, maybe I will have to look for one of those old head-to-heads. I haven't built teams, right? So that's like one thing like I don't know, but for the 2K price difference, it's not the end of the world to go over there. I think the problem that you're going to have on this slate is there's just a lot of really, really nice punt options possibly at receiver. Yeah. On the flip side, like I said, though, it's kind of nice to lock in some really good production. Instead, I don't know, I'm trying to look at 2K differences right now. I guess a 2K difference is Stephon Diggs and Derek Carr versus Darnell Mooney and Josh Allen. I guess Hunter Renfro's there too. Trying to look at a bunch of different ones, but I think that Derek Carr, if you're telling me I'm going below 6K, I'm not planning on going to Andy Dalton. I'm not planning on going to Trevor Siemian. I think it would be Derek Carr. I think it's just he's going to have a good game script as well. I just think that would be the guy for sure for me.
I think, you look at this, there's really, to me, only 3 quarterbacks that you want to play on the slate. Yes, big 150 lineup things. Yeah, you can do different. But if you're just looking at, hey, what's the cheapest I can go at quarterback and feel comfortable? It's clearly Derek Carr. And then they got him $1,000 apart. On DK, it's, Josh Allen at 7.8, come $900 cheaper. You got Prescott at 6.9K, who will be popular. Derek Carr, 5.9K, $1,000 cheaper. A large majority of the ownership in all formats, all contests this week, it's going to be Josh Allen. It's going to be Dak, and rightfully so. Simeon's a disaster. Dalton's a disaster. And whoever the hell the Lions started is a lock to be a disaster. So I agree. Derek Carr is the cheapest I go. I definitely will have some exposure to him just because we just don't have many quarterback options this week. There's only 3 games for this Thanksgiving Day slate. So
Hoop, if you slammed in a lot of these top end running backs, which running back feels like a position where besides Tony Pollard, I don't know, you're gonna hit with Devin Singletary, Matt Breida, and Zach Moss. It does feel like you have to spend your salary at the running back position, and that's why I mention it because yes, you do have some cheap receivers that you can mix and match throughout your lineups, but when you do mix and match 3K guys and 4K guys, you're definitely embracing a bunch of variants. It could definitely get a little bit rough. So that's just definitely something that we have to mention. And listen, not Derek Carr, Josh Allen, he's looked okay. That whole Bills team has been fine, but that Saints defense has been pretty good. Is that game in Buffalo or is it in
New Orleans?
That's good too, obviously, for
in the
Josh
dome.
Allen. One reason why I mentioned is what if it wasn't Buffalo? The wind would have been a disaster. So that's definitely why I mentioned it. The wind could be bad or the weather could be a problem. So I do think that the nature of the slate, you can make an argument for me and cash games. It would probably be Carr versus Allen in tournaments. I don't know. It's going to be rough to figure out which guys to go, but I kind of agree with what you're saying. And this could be a slate where if Goff plays in tournaments, Hoop, I don't know. It's probably not the craziest thing in the world to maybe take a shot on him at 5.1K with a trailing script against a Bears defense that's not that good.
Oh, gosh, it is painful. I don't know. I don't know if I can do it, but yeah, I see what you're saying. You only have 6 options. You have 6 options. So, you got to kind of get a little creative and do things that you typically wouldn't. We said we weren't going to bring Title in on the conversation at quarterback, but we're joking. We will. Title, talk to us about the FanDuel pricing at quarterback. Just naturally, the way their site's built, you're going to most likely want to pay up at the quarterback position. It kind of forces you in that direction. And pretty easy to do so this week. Josh Allen's 8.8, Dak Prescott's 8.2, and then big drop in talent after that. Obviously, we know you're going Josh Allen, but talk to me about the position overall here.
Yeah, FanDuel's more obvious than DK. I get what Mangone's saying on DK, where Derek Carr 5.9, Allen 7.8. That's 1,900. You can go a little different way. Someone in chat was asking, is this a slate you can leave salary on? And for sure, in tournaments, leaving salary on Thanksgiving slate is definitely the way to go. You'll limit a lot of duplicates, and there's only so many guys you can pick from. So definitely can leave salary. I'm going to be playing Josh Allen. Depending on when we get the news, I might 150. I'm just going to lock Josh Allen. You guys know me. I'm the most biased Josh Allen person probably in the industry. So Again, I'm not the right person to ask. I know that. The upside for Josh Allen compared to the rest, I think it's Josh Allen all day. He's in a dome. Yes, you're 100%. Like this Josh Allen, this Bills offense hasn't looked. I mean, they're very inconsistent. One week he's absolutely smashing. The next week he's not doing too well. The thing on which I love about him is he's able to backdoor a lot of bad games and save himself. They have no running game, and I expect that to stay the same. So I think Josh Allen will have to do everything. He has legs to run. I mean, I just think it's Josh Allen the ceiling all day. So that's how I'm approaching it. I'll save money at some other positions.
Me and Mangone can thank Josh Allen for our Tom Brady MVP futures, because those things are looking tasty, aren't they, Mangone?
Those look so good. I mean, it's the freest cheese, right? Title. It feels good.
Just like Jefferson Thielen, free cheese both ways.
Gosh, you act like Thielen's a bum. That's the worst part. They're like,
I don't. There's levels to this, man. I keep telling you, Thielen's not a bum.
Not when it comes to fantasy points, Title. If I'm building a team, yeah, I want Jefferson, but their points are so similar. They finished 10 and 12 in fantasy points last year.
Well, yeah, last year. I mean, Jefferson.
This year it's similar, Title. I literally pulled the numbers up. I mean, you're arguing.
It can't be. Not after last week. After
last week. Well, he had a good game too. I'll pull it up.
You went like 8 for 169 and 2.
We'll go to running back. We'll go to running back on FanDuel while Mangone peels to Adam Thielen's like 20th fantasy point ranking at the wide receiver position.
Look, quarterback is the worst position like we've seen on a Thanksgiving slate. What are the chances Big T plays Taysom Hill? Like any chance in one of the 150s?
Someone in chat's asking about Taysom.
Probably pretty good. And he just doesn't play. I don't know. Like he just doesn't play, and like he's 7K on FanDuel. Like you definitely can't do that. Like what's the DK price?
4.8.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I don't see it. Like, even if he gets one of his random bullshit rushing touchdowns, it's like not going to be enough. I mean,
like,
I don't know.
How do you? That's what I was trying to say in chat when someone's mentioned. Like, how do you play a backup quarterback on a slate? Like, you're giving up so much.
BigT, you never know. He'll go off the board.
Yeah, someone said that in chat too. I think you're burning money doing it personally, but I don't know.
Yeah. Title, talk to us about the running back position on FanDuel. I mean, we talked about Tony Pollard a little bit. He's only 5.9K. I mean, so if by some chance Zeke's ruled out, Pollard obviously becomes a lock. David Montgomery in a really good spot against the Lions. He got only 15 touches last week, but that was a kind of weird game with Baltimore low scoring. I think Montgomery is the most popular guy on the slate, and rightfully so. But the Zeke news looms big here. We need to really see what's going on with Zeke. So talk to me specifically about the pricing here on FanDuel.
Yeah, so Zeke 8.4. I mean, you look on FanDuel where he's 8.4, Swift 8K, and then David Montgomery 7.5. On DraftKings, I mean, the prices are a little different. Where Montgomery's 6K, Zeke's 8K. Like on FanDuel, yeah, I think I like Zeke way more if he plays on FanDuel, especially with the touchdown dependence. Like I think Zeke at 8.4 makes a lot of sense. I love that price 7.5 for David Montgomery. He's an explosive running back. He gets Detroit, who we like to pick on. They're in a dome. I like DeAndre Swift too. My favorite two running backs are in that same game. Two bad quarterbacks. They're going to want to rely on the ground. They can catch passes. Josh Jacobs at 6.7, I think is interesting. Dallas D has been better against the run though, but Jacobs fine. Mark Ingram fine if Kamara's out. Tony Pollard 5.9. Again, I'm gonna be way overweight on Tony Pollard in tournaments. I don't think people go to him at 5.9 if Zeke's in. If you're playing cash games, though, you got to stick with one of the five of Montgomery, Swift, Zeke, Jacobs, Ingram. And I probably rank them on FanDuel. I probably rank them the same way I just said it. But Montgomery 7.5, Swift 8K are my two favorites. You're on mute.
Yeah, you're on mute.
I
clicked it and then clicked it back on mute. Are we assuming Kamara sits? I mean, they said he was non-participant.
Yeah, it sounds like it's he's in danger, misses third week. So I'm assuming right now that he is.
Yeah. Okay. Mangone, give us the Thielen statistics, and then talk to us about running back on DK.
Yeah, you guys also caught me down a different rabbit hole because I looked at this thing. So Justin Jefferson last season versus Adam.
We're not
Thielen.
talking about last season.
We're
talking
both.
about
We're doing
2021.
both.
We're not. No,
Obviously,
we're
it was
doing
closer. We
year.
know we acknowledge that it was closer last season.
Well,
I think
Title
that's
did it before.
conceded.
Title did it before.
He was a
This
rookie,
season,
of course. I mean, like we're talking this year. What's this year, man?
I'm doing both. Let me do both, please. Okay, let me do the exercise. Title, put yourself back on mute. It's quarterback time. Okay, go back to that part of the show.
We're gonna be on the show for 3 hours at this rate. All right,
That's
go.
fine. So 17.1 was in 2020 for Jefferson. 16.9 per game was for Adam Thielen. That was the averages for the games. I did that because who knows if they're injured a game. I have no idea. So I looked at the average for this year on these two guys, and Jefferson definitely far ahead, especially because of last week. You got Jefferson he jumped up to number 5, which he is at, where is it? He's at number 5 at, now I lost it. This is not good.
Is this a full point or half point?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
seems like
whatever this site has.
This seems like an intentional botch of the statistics.
I pulled up the first one I could find. So 13.0 and Title. Don't say that because you play FanDuel all the time. So knock that off.
Both.
Because you talk Josh Allen. Oh, it's easy to play with. You're more of a FanDuel guy than a draft.
I played Josh Allen on DraftKings and Cash last week too. What do you mean?
You're more of a FanDuel guy. So anyway, 13.0 for Jefferson, and then Thielen's is lower. He is down at, where is he? I can't read. 11.1. So again, both really good players. You can play both. Just play both in tournaments, Title. It's simple. That's how you play it. We talked about last week, and we talked about Deebo Samuel. I want to mention that again. Samuel.
He went off.
Yeah. So another thing I just noticed was looking at these quarterback things, and maybe this is not a bad idea, especially because, and I mean, I kind of agree with what Big T said on Twitter. Like, I thought the Bills are pretty overrated. Like, dude, Trevor Siemian, I know he's like, I don't love him. I don't think he's a great player, but I think his average in the 4 games he's played at quarterback is 18.15 fantasy points. Like, maybe we should reconsider Trevor Siemian, especially if Kamara.
Pulling it up. I didn't realize he's been that good.
He's been like really strong. That was something when I somehow, when I was clicking around, I went to quarterback and I was like, I wonder if guys on this slate, and that's the rabbit hole I went down. So Simeon's been a little bit better, but we could go to running back. That was a long tangent there, but hey, it's Thanksgiving slate.
Yeah. What stands out to you on DK, the pricing? Any pricing kind of stand out to you?
Yeah. I mean, David Montgomery, right? I mean, I think he's like one of the best plays on the slate because he gets the Lions. Andy Dalton's probably good for him, better than having Justin Fields. I think that DeAndre Swift, 7.3K, he's just like so safe, right? Like the production, the floor and ceiling combination is one of the best on the slate. So like those two in the first game, it's also nice kind of getting some points early on. You can watch how the game goes, which is kind of fun too. Like that's why you can play a Jared Goff stack with, Swift. So, but anyways, I think those two guys are really good options. And then I think if you need the news on Kamara, and I think Pollard's a really good tournament play. And you can even consider him in cash if Zeke is super banged up, but that's about it. We're running back.
Did you mention Jamal Williams? I know he's only like 4K. Like if you want to punt, he got 7 carries last week. I mean, who knows what the hell the Lions are going to do, but 4K for him, I think is somewhat appealing.
The only reason I would do it, Hoop, is in tournaments, you have the luxury of watching each game play out like one by one, and you can play a low-owned guy early on, and then you could change up your lineup completely and play more chalk or play like just off, like you can go to Trevor Siemian stacks or something if you're really behind. There's definitely a lot of things that you can do with that. So
let's stick with DK. We'll go to the wide receiver position. And as we said, when we talked about the injuries, like a lot of what you do at wide receiver is going to come down to whether or not CeeDee Lamb plays or not. If he's in, he's a great play. If he's out, there's a ton of different Cowboys guys you're going to be looking at. Gallup, Noah Brown, Cedric Wilson. I like that Turner call, man. Malik Turner, I think, is very appealing. So a lot of what you do at this position comes down to CeeDee Lamb. If CeeDee Lamb is in, I don't think many people go to Diggs. If CeeDee Lamb's out, I think a lot of people end up playing Diggs because there's just not much else to spend up for. Michael Gallup would be a great play. Talk to me here about the pricing at the wide receiver position.
You want me or Mangone? Me? You're on mute now too. I'll
Sorry,
take it over.
DK Mangone, sorry.
Oh, okay. The receiver position. So I mentioned it before. Stephon Diggs, 7.9K is like the top, and then you got Lamb and Cooper could be out, and then it goes all the way to Michael Gallup. huge drop off. I do think Gallup, Renfrow are going to be guys that you look and put into strong consideration. If Allen Robinson plays, 5.1K with a quarterback that can actually throw the football is important. He does have a hamstring injury though, so that could be slightly concerning. Hammies are something that you definitely get worried about. Emmanuel Sanders at 4.8K. He's another guy like that Buffalo offense to get good exposure to it. I like it. I don't think it's a bad option. I don't know what to do with these awful Lions receivers. They're cheap, but there's other guys that are so cheap around. I'm like, you can play Khalif Raymond at 4.6 or Emmanuel Sanders at 4.8. Like, just play Emmanuel Sanders. I think that's kind of simple. And then I think Edwards at 3.9 could be an interesting tournament play. But again, those Dallas Cowboys receivers, Noah Brown, Cedric Wilson, people are going to look at them. I think they're all really good options in the mid tier. And it's going to be one of those weeks where I don't want to eat all this chalk receiver options. I think you can make some slight deviations to lower owned guys because they're all similar players. Hoop, you're on mute again.
Man, this is just full disaster for your boy. Like literally full disaster with this mute button. But I wanted to say Tambo from the top rope on Mangone. Like Title said, you know what, Tambo, I had enough of this guy. I'm tagging you in. He climbs the rope and just –
what is your guys' point?
Thielen has broke 100 yards once all season. Jefferson over 100 in the first quarter last game.
But they're both great plays. Like, what are you guys like? They're both great plays every single week. Like that, I don't get what point you guys are making. They're both awesome options. The point I'm making about the Vikings is you can play either one.
I'm not running. This is a battle between you two, but here is what I think the argument is, and I think you're probably on the wrong side of it, okay? Because these guys are priced usually pretty close. Like they're not like right next to each other in terms of pricing. A lot of times you're deciding, are you playing Jefferson or are you playing Thielen? And I mean, the clear cut guy to play.
You just play both. You literally just if you're building like 30 Viking stacks, you get like whichever one you want to go. If Adam Thielen's 5% owned and Jefferson's like 3%, I don't know, go like 12% Jefferson and go, probably 15% Jefferson, 15% Thielen, whatever you want. It's that simple. Yeah. They're both really good.
All right, let's go on to wide receiver on FanDuel.
Yes, if you want to know Jefferson, he's a talented receiver. Agree on
the
that.
The most heated conversations that we have on the show on a weekly basis is Thielen versus Jefferson. It is wild, the arguments you can get in.
It's just a terrible conversation and argument. They're both good.
Yeah, let's bury it. Title, wide receiver, FanDuel. What stands out to you over there?
Of course, CeeDee Lamb's out, Gallup for sure. Cedric Wilson did drop passes last game and had a bad game. I actually like Cedric Wilson as a receiver, though, so I'm going to be way overweight on him. I just already liked him previously. Hopefully, people are kind of off him because of those drops. I doubt that's the case, though. So 5.6, I like him a lot if CeeDee's out. Renfrow at 6.2. We're expecting a trailing script. He's wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 if you want to include Waller, but the targets are there. Diggs at 8.3 is the interesting one. If Lamb's out, he's in his own tier. Like nobody else is above 7K on the whole slate. So that might just be you take your raw points, you play Diggs, and just move on if you have the money. I'm going to be playing Allen for sure, though. So I'm not prioritizing Diggs, but I think I'll be able to fit him. Cole Beasley, 5.7, I'm fine with. On DK, Darnell Mooney's fine, but on FanDuel, 6.8K for Mooney. In tournaments, maybe he has the big play upside that he's shown. He's explosive and he'll be low owned, but in cash and in a vacuum on paper, 6.8 is definitely an overspend. But tournaments, you can chase the upside doing that. The Buffalo receivers, Beasley, Diggs, Sanders, the Dallas receivers, Cedric Wilson, Gallup, and then Hunter Renfrow are mainly the ones I'm looking at. But maybe Allen Robinson, I like Andy Dalton back there more for Allen Robinson, for Darnell Mooney. If you want to try and go in tournaments and get overweight on guys like that, I'm fine. But the last 2 games are so much better than that first one.
Yeah, if with Dalton in there, I think Allen Robinson becomes a much better play if he's in. The price on Renfrow stands out at 6.2K. It was a down game for him, but only got 4 targets. He brought in all 4 of them. You have to imagine they're playing from behind here against Dallas. I like Renfrow. And Mangone's boy, Malik Turner. If you want a full on punt, which I don't know if you're going to need to do it, It's 4.6K. I mean, on a site that's touchdown dependent, he's getting looks in the red zone. I really like that Malik Turner call from Mangone.
Yeah, one more off-board guy hoop that people won't play, and he's in the early game too, which is kind of nice. Marquise Goodwin, 3.8K. If Allen Robinson doesn't play, like he got 23 fantasy points last week. I don't know if the game log watchers will jump on him. I think the point I'm getting at, I'm not trying to game log watch either, but like if Allen Robinson happens to miss because of a hamstring, they do need a number 2. It isn't a dome, and Marquise Goodwin is known as that guy that can just run really fast. And in the domes, that helps him out. Helped Scantling a little bit last week. Maybe with a better quarterback, Goodwin could be an interesting tournament option where if he pops off again, you can just kind of play some chalkier guys. If he doesn't, you can mix and match and change up your lineup. But Tommy Trimble won someone a Millie Maker, so you can win Millie Makers with anyone at these days.
I'll say 2 more on DraftKings for tournaments because I'm going to probably be locking in Josh Allen in tournaments. You want to run back someone in that game. I expect people will go Ingram. I mean, with Simeon, Deontay Harris and Traquan Smith are the top 2 receivers for him. Callaway has fallen down the list. Deontay Harris at 3.7. People will go Cedric Wilson at 3.5 if he's out. I think Harris is a good pivot there. And then Traquan, I mean, I was high on him in best ball preseason. I have way more than I should. Now he's finally got his role. Simeon's a better quarter. He's getting the ball to his playmakers. 4.4K is a late night hammer as a run back. If people are going to be running back Ingram with Josh Allen, I think those Saints receivers make some sense.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Tight end position will stick on FanDuel. And as bad as the slate is, like there's a lot of viable tight end options. And that would not be the assumption. When you look at the teams playing, you just, oh man, tight ends would be tough. But each team almost has a decent option. You have Darren Waller, 7.3, Hawkinson, Schultz, Knox, Cole Kmet. Troutman's going to be out. Is it Juwan Johnson? Yeah, 4.5K. I mean, so you have like 6 viable tight ends, which is pretty wild. Talk to me about the prices here, Title.
Yeah, so FanDuel, DraftKings is a lot more interesting, and you definitely can go 2 tight ends this week with how the prices are. And like you said, like tight ends absolutely loaded. FanDuel, I'm just going to be picking between Darren Waller at 7.3 or Schultz at 6K. We always really can pay up on FanDuel. The salary doesn't mean as much. Those are the clear guys. Schultz now without, if Lamb is out and Amari. I mean, he had 11 DK points last week. He's really involved in the offense. Waller, we know his upside is unmatched at the tight end position. So FanDuel's easy. DraftKings, though, there's a lot of ways to go. I'll let Mangone and talk about it. But FanDuel, it's Waller, it's Schultz. If you want to get different in tournaments, you can go in Knox or something like that.
Yeah, Mangone, any differences over there on DK?
Yeah, I agree with what Title said on FanDuel. Waller is 6'4", good play. Schultz, 5'3", good option. TJ Hawkinson, 5'2". Again, you can play like an early guy, make a pivot. Dawson Knox, we talked about him before. Hey, Stephon Diggs is dealing with issues with Lattimore. Well, Dawson Knox at 4'4" can easily get the job done. Adam Troutman is doubtful. If you want the full-on punt crapper, yes, Jimmy Graham is down there. And Andy Dalton did throw to Jimmy a little bit, so maybe that could change some stuff. But I think Juwan Johnson could be in play. And the only reason I mentioned these, like,
he's out 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, so it's gonna be Johnson.
He's out 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, yeah. So Johnson is, I think, in play. If you're playing the old Showdown slate, maybe Taysom Hill gets a little bit more tight end work instead of Johnson. I know Johnson had been inactive a bunch of weeks. I think week 9 he was, and 6. So, but he played last week and they got 3 targets, 2 catches. So if you need the full-on punt, and I don't know if you need it this week, it's definitely there. If CeeDee Lamb enters the chat, then we might need more of a full-on punt at the tight end position.
Yeah, I mean, if it comes down to having the ability to play Lamb and Diggs and, Allen or Dak, like I have no problem going all the way down here. 2.6K. I mean, we always talk about it. I mean, probably sound like a broken record, but when you play these full punts, it's not necessarily about what they do. It's what it does for the rest of your lineup. Do we need it this week? Do we not? A lot of that's going to depend on CeeDee Lamb's availability this week, because if he's out, we're probably going to play at least one cheap wide receiver. We're not going to need to punt off tight end. If Lamb's in and we want to play him, might have to come down here. And I don't think it's the worst play in the world to come down to a guy like Johnson, who, filled in for Troutman last week. Simeon is throwing to these tight ends way more than Jameis was. So, yeah, I don't hate it. We'll see, what happens this week with all the news.
I got one more thing to add. So Juwan Johnson, I mean, the guy's athletic anyway. He has red zone upside. So Cole Kmet's 3,700. He just got 2.2 points on DraftKings.
That was painful. I played his dusty ass for some reason.
I got the Dan Arnold donut, so my tight end did literally worse. Anyway, yeah, but like, so he's 3.7. You know his floor is very small. Juwan Johnson 2.6. Like, if you build a lineup and you have $0 left over at Cole Kmet, you easily can just go Kmet to Johnson. If you have $0 left, that Kmet lineup could be duped 25 times, 50 times. Who knows what it is? You make that one pivot, you save the 1,100, you just don't touch it. It's not even, it wouldn't be a surprise at all if Juwan Johnson outscores Cole Kmet, and instead of splitting $1 million and you win what 80,000 or whatever, you win the $1 million outright. Like, that's the way I'm going to be approaching these tournaments on this 3-game slate. So I like Juwan Johnson.
And that was a question that somebody asked in the chat. Is this a slate where you can leave money on the table? Most slates, I mean, I would argue, yes, you can, especially in NFL. Some of the other sports, a little bit different in NFL. Yeah, most slates you can. Most people don't, though. It's tough to look at it and say, oh, I can, I have $700 more to spend. Can I get this upgrade? You have to really ask yourself, is it really an upgrade or not? And in this situation, on this slate, 3-game slate, can definitely leave money on the table. No reason. I'm not saying you have to, but there's no reason to say, oh, I need to spend that money. You can definitely leave some cheese on the table this week. All right. I think that is going to wrap it up. As I said in the opening, I mean, Thanksgiving Day slate is super exciting. I mean, this one is not the greatest in terms of the teams playing, but man, nothing beats being with the family, having some drinks, watching some football, gambling on some sports. I mean, there's literally not a better combination in life. So enjoy your Thanksgiving, enjoy these games. All our content will be out throughout the week. We're treating this as a full main slate. So we'll have our full dose of content. Should start rolling out today. Probably more so tomorrow. There's a lot of news still hanging out there. So as the days go on, tomorrow morning, we'll start getting some of this stuff up. Head on over to Run Pure Sports. If you're not a member, you can use that promo code RPS Heater 25 to get 25% off your first payment on a monthly package. It's going to do it though for us. For Mangone, for Title, I'm Hoop. Good luck in your contest and enjoy your Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.